Ghosts, souls of the dead that manifest before the living, gazing through the veil that divides life and death, ethereal plane shifters that possess, haunt, and torment the ones they've left behind. When you see something out of the corner of your eye, is that your mind playing tricks on you? Or is there a more paranormal explanation? With the ability to phase through walls and apparate willingly, ghosts are extremely difficult to even see, let alone capture. But there's one individual who's not going to only capture these creatures, but use them in battle. Who is this individual? What? Well, the first thing to do is to pick a starter. The only issue is that none of these options are of the mortally impaired. Unless we... Safe to say that didn't work, so we're gonna have to wander into the grass and capture the first ghost type Pokemon that we find. I do appreciate the game trying to gift me a Pokemon, but again, this isn't a ghost type.
Hold up, wait a minute.
So we've taken all but 20 steps out of our front door, and we've already butchered 3 Pokemon and cracked open a Lechonk as if it was a lemon Fanta in the middle of August. After cleaning up the remaining Guanciale, I searched for our first legitimate Pokemon. I have to catch the first ghost type I find, so let's take a look. I could just maybe cheat the catalog into the game and change its form, because then it's an electric ghost. Right? I could do that. Or I could just catch that one. That's convenient. So that's our first Pokemon then. We've got a Rotom. We've got an electric ghost type, which is... Sorry? I guess. Everyone meet Dongle the Rotom. It's not the greatest Pokemon since we can't change its form because then it's not a ghost type anymore. That being said though, it can gain ground immunity thanks to its flying Terra type. Its moves aren't great, its only attacking move is a grass type Hyper Beam, but Cotton Down is a decent ability. After Dongle, we kept our cold dead eyes peeled since we can still catch 2 Pokemon before the first gym. After a few more steps to the north, we found the remains of an angry monkey. There was some hesitation whether I should take such a powerful Pokemon this early, but then I remembered it's a randomizer, the first gym could have God himself, and because of this, Django joined the team. Astral Barrage is an insanely good move for Annihilate, especially because we have the ghost type Terra, and we get Guerrilla Tactics, which is very fitting. We turned Arven's horse into a ghost type, and then we found our final team member before the first gym. This is Lopez. Moveset is pretty good, with Bitter Malice being a decent stab attack, and he also has Flash Fire, but that's going to change when we evolve him later in the run. Now we've got a team of 3, it's time for our 1 day of education. I sit here for about 20 minutes slowly dying inside whilst all the while pushing the A button so quickly that people that understand Morse code praise me for my amazing cover of Rap God. We eventually finish our time at school and then we hop on our dragon bike, which I have come to nickname Plot Convenience. We travel over to Kotondo, level up our team, equip the drip, and then challenge Katie. She sends out Lucario and we leave a Dongle. Aerial Ace does nothing and Safeguard is set up. We switch out to Django as Lucario sets up Toxic Spikes. Astral Barrage does decent damage as a second layer of spikes is set up. Lucario goes down as Deerling comes out. Since we're locked into a ghost type attack, we need to switch into Dongle, who is badly poisoned. We take a Zen Headbutt, but then we Terastallize in order to get a bit more damage on the Aerial Ace, which does decent damage. However, a super effective signature move will get the KO. Really? This early on? To a fucking Deerling? Django comes back out and is badly poisoned, but that's fine since it just gives Facade a power boost. Deerling goes down and out comes Cypher, who turns into a water type and uses Power Swap. Facade is an easy 2-hit KO as Pyro Ball does decent damage, but one more Facade does get the win. We fly over to the east where we see a new ghost type, but we can't catch it yet because we have a crab to crack. This is a really easy fight to narrate, watch this. We spam Razor Leaf, and then we do it again. Arven tries to tell me a story, but I'd rather watch a silent movie with my eyes closed. But with 2 badges obtained, it's time to catch a new Pokemon. I mean, Gengar would be clutch. Spewpat, Starly, Gumi, Metachan, Vroom, Pandamouse, type. Yes! That's the one f***ing ghost I wanted! Getting love Typhlosion, let's go. Everyone meet Pascal. Typhlosion is an amazing Pokemon, Jotonian or Hisuian. But when your Typhlosion has the fur coat ability, you know you've done pretty well for yourself. Should we take on another gym? I'm going to assume he said yes. We're going to take on Brassius, who loves standing in precarious places just as much as he loves plants. He sends out the well-known plant Crocodilus canadensis as we send out Pascal. Ice Beam gets the easy one-shot as Brassius sends out Goryllium millefolium. We use Ice Beam again, which does great damage, but so does an Origin Pulse. We tear it into a Steel type for no reason other than style points, and then we take out the Rillaboom with another Ice Beam. Brassius then sends out his final and biggest Pokemon, Fishicus giganticum. I do understand that, but I was never warned about the dangers of chanting random incantations that I find on the internet. But I was browsing securely because I used Surfshark VPN to change. Because we knew the fish was going to terastallize, I clicked Ice Beam because of its good type coverage, and with a stroke of luck, it changed into a ground type. After taking hefty damage, it does nothing but set up the rain, and then it goes down to another Ice Beam. After my ghost types gave Brassius a chill, it was time to dodge boulders like I dodge responsibilities and take on Big Bird. I could just spam Ice Beam again, but I went for Stone Axe for some variety, which was not a good idea, so I just spammed Ice Beam again. The bird then looked at the cliff for an uncomfortable amount of time before Arvin decided to finally help in this quest that he, himself, decided to embark on. Typhlosion does what Typhlosion does best, and it Ice Beams it twice for the win. Why drag out a fight when it's as easy as that? We then learn that Arvin's going through all this trouble in order to save the life of his pet dog, but why? Dead dogs are decent. Everyone meet Bjork, the most amazing dead dog you'll ever meet.
That is, until Arvin finally allows Mabosstiff the unrivaled pleasure of passing through the veil, before he lets the dog slip between the cracks that divide pain and suffering and bliss and ecstasy. Let entropy win, Arvin. You can't prevent death's jungle. You can only delay its embrace. Let it in. Let it win.
Bjork has the Fairy Terror type, which is extremely helpful as it gives us an immunity to a type that is otherwise quite difficult to deal with. Well, now we've got another team member, it's time to take on Giacomo. He sends out Calyrex and we send out Pascal, who, and you won't believe this, it does do decent damage as Calyrex uses Happy Hour. Yeah. Alrighty then. I decide to set up a Tailwind and then switch into Django before KOing the Royal Rabbit, however it does live an extra turn with Endure. Since Django's attack was dropped from Intimidate, we have to switch back to Pascal, who takes a Wicked Talk very well thanks to Fur Coat. We switch back into Django, who's hit by 2 Metal Sounds as Leech Life does great damage even without Stab. Snarl then hits hard, but the healing from Leech Life ensures that we live another potential hit and get the KO. Now, if there's one thing worse than reading through the entirety of James Corden's autobiography, it's being used as clickbait by a live streamer. Go, I don't even have 3,000 subscribers, who the f*** are you baiting? We have to play a little game of pin the location on the faculty, and then once we've gained enough clout for her livestream, we get to battle your highness. Iono sends out Honchkrow, who swiftly falls to a single Thunder Punch delivered by the Muhammad Ali of the Afterlife. Well, actually, I guess Muhammad Ali is the Muhammad Ali of the Afterlife. Anyway, out comes Whiscash, who raises its defense with Dauntless Shield, so we switch into Pascal, who OHKOs the lesser Swampert by spitting apple juice at it. Okay. Iono sends out Deerling, and that goes exactly how you'd expect. And then lastly comes out Ice Cube. I decided to do something different and use Toxic whilst we scout out what Terror type it is, and it turns out Iono kept the Electric Fondness. We slowly chip down its HP as Ice Cube does nothing since its only attacking move appears to be Focus Palm, so nice. 2 more badges down so we can catch another Pokemon for our team, and for this one I decided we're going to break the norm. Ghost types, they're synonymous with cold, dark places with evil, restless spirits, like graveyards, abandoned buildings, Reddit and prisons, but for this Pokemon we're going to explore the sunny shores of the beach. There were a lot of fun Pokemon, including a drowning legendary, but I didn't really have 2 minutes to wait until it succumbs to asphyxiation, so we just fished up this pre-dead Pokemon instead. We named the Mimikyu after something I think James Corden should take up in his spare time, and it has the Dark Terror type, so that's quite handy. It also has a decent moveset and the amazing ability Super Luck. What better way to showcase Hush than to use it against our next roadblock? Mela leads with a literal baby as we use Aqua Step, and our Ghost types must have inspired Happiny because it asks us to hit it again? Okay. Onto the car, and even at +2 speed, the Starmobile still goes first, but Hush does take it well. Aqua Step then does poor damage, but we do stay in to get some more hits off, but unfortunately we are burnt in the process. Since we knew a fire move was coming our way, we switched into Lopez, who absorbs it. We take a Screech and then we hit a small amount of damage. And this process goes on and on and on and on. until the Starmobile goes down because it refused to use Spin Out for some reason, but I'm okay with this. This did take a while because Lopez hits as hard as a noodle arm breadstick, but we did get the KO and we did get the win. It's time to take on the happiest sex toy you've ever seen in your life. Probably. Hush turns into a dark type to avoid any steel type moves. Collision Course does respectable damage, but we need to switch out because the worm hits way too hard. Django comes out, who does take an Iron Tail, but he does get his defense dropped, so we do need to switch out again. We switch into Pascal, who eats an Iron Tail thanks to her typing and ability. Apple Acid does a fair amount, but every hit lowers its special defense, so we rinse and repeat until the worm falls. Arvin is so bad at being on time that his med school teacher recommended Necromancy as an alternative. Pascal uses Roost to heal up, and then we just use Apple Acid to chip it down, lowering that special defense and getting the KO. Well, after Mela and the Titan, we're free to catch another team member, and we catch this guy. Say hello to Krampus the Gengar. It has the Psychic Terror type, which is rather good for it. It also has the ability Pixelate. No, not that one. Gengar isn't the only good news though, because the new level cap means that Bjork can finally evolve. Its new ability is Intrepid Sword, which is an incredible ability for it. See, Arvin? Dead dogs are good.
Let him join us, Arvin.
Following the new additions to our team, we went to the next gym, but Kofu just ran away, almost like he had seen a ghost or something. We caught up to him and convinced him to come back, buying his favourite snack with his own money. Kofu sends out Gothorita and we lead Krampus. Relic Song does about half as the Goth child sets up a minimize. The same thing happens again, leaving Gothorita on the red, but then a third Relic Song does miss as we take a weak Dire Claw. Look, if you want to play dirty and raise your evasiveness, that's fine, I'm just going to put a timer on it. Out comes Toadscroll, who's taken to the red by an Ice Beam, but then retaliates with a Jaw Lock. If we didn't have Fur Coat, that probably would have hurt a lot more. We finish off the Mushroom with an Apple Acid, and then Samurott comes out and turns into a fighting type. We heal up to scout out what type he was going to turn into, and we're hit with a Lash Out. They use Protect as we try and go for Apple Acid, but a second one does connect. Lash Out takes us to the red, but then Django comes out safely as they try and protect again. All we've got to do then is wait for the monkey that is way past its sell-by date to finish off the Water Puppy with 2 more attacks. No time to slow down though, because we've got another delinquent to demoralise. Atticus sends out Iron Thorns and we lead with Bjork. The plan was to fake out, but seeing Precipice Blades is 4 times effective, I don't think we need to worry about that. Next up is one of the coolest ghosts in the game, and it only makes me slightly jealous. We switch out to Django, who takes the Dark Pulsar very well as we O-code the Dead Fox with a Night Slash. Silicobra is a silly boy who's taken down to half and then he uses Cosmic Power. The Slippery Sod then uses Transform and takes on the form of Django. We had to hope that we were quicker because there is no way anyone on our team wants to take a Night Slash. Luckily, we do outspeed and we do defuse the Copycat. The copy snake. Why do we say copycat? Anyway, the car is up and Spin Out does a small amount and so does Night Slash. We get off a bit more damage before switching into Krampus to remove the toxic spikes. Now it's time to turn Gengar into the very thing that he was supposed to counter in Gen 1. A Terra boosted Psychic does great damage as Krampus tanks another hit. Despite raising its speed again, it's still slower than Krampus due to the several spin outs it's used, and that is that done. Next, we travel into the woods to find our next encounter, and we found a fish. I called it Nugget, for honestly no reason whatsoever. It has the normal Terror type, which means we get Ghost immunity. It's something that our team struggles against at the moment, so it's very welcome. It also has the Technician ability, which is very good since after relearning some attacks, its moves look like this. So we get that sweet Technician boost on all of our attacks apart from Axe Kick, which is strong enough as it is anyway. This is going to be the strongest salmon you have ever seen, unless you've seen a fish with like shredded abs and biceps.
It's about drive, it's about power.
Now I don't mean to be that guy who brings the mood down, but every time I fight Larry in a Nuzlocke, he seems to kill a very valuable party member. The joke's on him this time though, because my Pokemon,
They're already dead.
He leads Magnemite and we lead Nugget. Bone Rush hits so hard that Magnemite fell quicker than my desire to play Master Duel after learning about these pricks. Next up is Kamala, and another Bone Rush does decent damage, but then it's disabled. Seeing the obvious ghost attack coming, we avoid it by turning into a normal type, and then Aqua Jet gets the KO. Next up is Hush. What are you doing over there? Larry then triggers his own Terastallization and turns Mimikyu into a normal type. Aqua Jet does about a third as Nugget is taken down to the red by a super effective Collision Course. Time to switch? Great idea. We send out the genuine Hush, we use Collision Course, and then we get the KO and the win. For Rhyme's gym, I thought I'd rap alongside her, but I can't stress how much I can't actually do that. So how about we just do some, like, I don't know, poetry? Rhyme sends out 2 creatures to fight. We respond with our own, though it seems that we might have no abilities. There's gas in the air. It affects hers too, so I guess it seems fair. The crowd goes wild. They seem to want violence. Anxious in public, I just want some silence. I tried talking first, but she wants to engage. I just want a badge, but I'm stuck on this stage. Standing here awkwardly alongside my ghost. Is this a rap battle? Am I expected to roast? I'm new to this life. I've got pasty white skin. This isn't what we're known for. Well, except for him. Bjork slaps the crow with a well-planned fake-out, 4 times effective, but I can't seem to take out. The Colossal hits back with a cannon of armor. The damage was harsh, but it could have gone harder. Defense fell low, crowd loving the show. A boost for our team, now they're ready to go. Aquajet turns all the fire to ash. The crow falls down to a behemoth bash. Wait, no, I forgot that attack. Well, I guess it's a slash. Gengar joins in, not once but twice. Her Gengar's faster and it's covered in ice. Magical Leaf, no crit, I'm relieved. Just under half is what we received. The dog sprouts wings, engulfed by light. A kick to the head, all bark and no bite. Should have switched out, but we live on the red. Unlike her ghost that got kicked in the head. The crowd stand in awe, shocked we succeed. A badge we obtain that we need to proceed. If you hit subscribe, I'll never do that again. Or I will do it again if you liked it, but I don't know, just please hit subscribe, I'm simping for you. After beating Rhyme, it's time to catch another little dead boy for our army of ghosts. This is Shiv. Shiv is all about that heat. It's got the fire terror type and it has the ability Desolate Land, which is a great combination. After leveling him up, this is the new moveset. Pretty decent move coverage, and we also had that TM for Terror Blast, so how could I say no? On to the Great Tusk fight, and this is all about Krampus. For round 2, we do the same thing again, this time taking it down to the yellow. Krampus survives a big hit and then finishes off the prehistoric big boy. Now I've only noticed this in editing, but what is this little dance he does when he celebrates? Look at him! Do you know what my least favourite gym challenge is? How did you guess? Doing emotional yoga with a dead trout isn't really my idea of fun, I ain't gonna lie to you. What is my idea of fun though is getting another gym badge by beating up someone's beloved pets. Tulip starts strong by sending out Zamazenta and we showcase Shiv. I decide to postpone Shiv's debut however to switch into Krampus who avoids a supersonic. We turn into a psychic type getting confused by a second Zubat Screech. We then hit through the confusion and do some great damage. I honestly can't be bothered to deal with confusion, so I sent out Nugget, who's unaffected by a body press. A priority move then finishes off the dog, and f***ing hell, calm down! I do use Protect to see if it has any super effective moves, because an electric type from this thing isn't gonna spell victory for Mr. Fish. Thundurus, however, just celebrates the fact that you're about to like the video. Hey, good for you. A second celebration does nothing as we use Aquajet. This happens again, putting it on the red, and then a third Aquajet takes down the Cloudman. Fracture comes out, so we Protect to scout out a move. Flatter isn't bad because we're a physical attacker, but I decide to switch into Pascal. We do manage to hit through the confusion and Oko the little lizard, leading onto Tulip's final Pokemon.
It's about drive, it's about power.
She's got another legendary. At this point I really wanted to use Shiv, so I switch out and Eternatus turns into a Steel type. Annoyingly, we've already used our Terror Orb, so we can't hit it with a fire move. We switch back to Nugget, who takes an unlucky Parabolic Charge, as we yet again have to switch. Bjork comes out, who takes another hit fairly well, as Fake Out does next to nothing. Precipice Blades then does huge damage. I sent Krampus back out as Gravity is set back up, and Break and Swipe does small damage, and then a Shadow Ball puts it down to the red. One more swipe and Shadow Ball later, the battle is over, and that could have gone a lot worse. One Titan and one gym down since our last Pokemon, so you know what that means. We ran around in the sandy area seeing T-Tars, Rayquazas, Mewtwo's, but the Pokemon that we got is a little grass boy called Onion. We took it for a walk, fed it some performance enhancers, and then turned it into a bigger Onion. It has Sticky Hold, which isn't great because we can't use held items, but its moveset is pretty decent. It has Flower Trick for decent stab damage, and it has Recovery. On to the final gym leader of the run, and Grusha sends out Kamala, and we lead Shiv. A Sucker Punch does big damage, and Attack Order does about half. We switch out to Django, who safely comes out on a Sucker Punch. Another one does connect, but then we take out the Sleepy Marsupial with a Night Slash. Out comes the best starter, who is absolutely annihilated, and then out comes Hisui and Sneasel. We switch to Krampus, who takes a Razor Leaf, and then Oko Sneasel with a Psychic. Grusha's final Pokemon is Palisand. It terrestrializes into a ground type, and then Relic Song does a small amount of damage. Krampus is turned into a water type as we switch into Pascal, who's immune to the extreme speed. Pascal is up against a ground type, so... Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Let's jump straight in and take on Ortega. They send out Oranguru and we lead Shiv. A foul play does about a third, but so does an Icicle Crash. We switch into Django, who takes a Glacial Lance very well and then hits back with a Leech Life for super effective damage and recovery. Out comes Hypno, and this is perfectly fine. Leech Life takes it to the red, and then Psyshock takes us to the yellow. One more hit gets the KO. Since we're locked into a bug type move, we switch into Nugget, letting Django avoid a super effective Aerial Ace. We use Protect to scout out any super effective moves on Nugget, but all is good. We sponge another hit, but then take out the rabbit with a Bone Rush. When it was time for the car, we switched into Bjork, who takes a Steel Roller very well. I wasn't sure if Fake Out would work, so I tried it, but it doesn't. Bjork is then hit with Confuse Ray, and Magical Talk does a fair amount of damage, as Behemoth Slash doesn't do as much as I would want. We switch out to Shiv, but then he's hit quite hard, so we switch into Krampus. Shiv really can't catch a break. The resistance to fairy damage let him take a hit well, and then we hit back with a Thunder Cage, annoyingly getting confused right after. We switch into Pascal, who eats fairy moves all day, and we're confused again. Luckily, we do hit through the confusion and lower its special defense with an Apple Acid. The car doesn't really have an answer for Pascal, so we just keep hitting it, lowering its special defense every time until it goes down. Ortega then tells a gripping story of, on second thoughts I don't actually care. We walk around the grassy hill for a bit and find our next Pokemon in the form of the Cheese String Man, an insanely good Pokemon made up of coins, and it has the Drought ability, so I had to give it the very fitting name, Sunny McMoney. Its moveset is very good, especially since I had a TM for Weather Ball, which effectively means he has a base 100 attack fire move. Now that isn't really going to help us in the next battle though, but luckily we do have Thunderbolt alongside that, which does make light work of the fish. Round 2 is won by a combination of Thunderbolt, Power Whip, and then the big fish missing an attack. Round 3 starts and we hit a small amount of damage with a fairy attack as Berserker takes the hit. We do miss our second attack as Muddy Water takes out Berserker, Arven's only Pokemon. Like, seriously, we were fighting Titans, you knew this, and you bought one Pokemon. Another fairy attack takes it down to the yellow as we're hit by a taunt. Yet another Springtide Storm misses, but then the next one does take it to the red, and Sunny's taken to the yellow. We're all out of PP on the fairy move, so we need to switch up attacks, and it only does a small amount, so we switch into Krampus for safety. Muddy Water does a huge amount of damage, but we know that we're quicker, so a Psychic does take out the Titan. Wait, his dog is alive? It managed to pull through? Shit. It's time to take on our final challenge before the endgame gauntlet of battles, and Eri sends out Quillfish and we lead with Nugget. Rising Voltage doesn't do much as Earthquake does huge damage, letting Aquajet get the KO. Charmeleon comes out, but it's OHKO'd by the Aquajet. Palafin sets up a ring as Axe Kick takes it to half. Guard Swap is used as another kick takes it down to the red. Aquajet finishes off the Pseudo Fish as Avalugg crashes in. Because it's the Hisuian version, it has like 84 weaknesses, so we just hit it with an Axe Kick and that gets the OHKO. Onto the car, and Aquajet chips away at some HP as its defenses rise. Switch Gear raises the car's speed and attack as we Terastallize and hit a powerful Psychic. Krampus then lives on 1 HP as I make the manliest noise you've ever heard. I mean, oh, that was close. Luckily, one more hit does get the KO and the win. Okay, so now it's time for the final capture of the run. It's a shot at a legendary Pokemon. In my Nuzlocke, I need to earn legendary Pokemon. I get 3 attempts with the equivalent of a regular Pokeball. I'm also not allowed to battle it in any way, so no status conditions and no lowering its HP. As expected, I did fail the Hooper catch, so we unfortunately don't get another Pokemon. But our team at the moment, it's a powerhouse. I don't think we need the Hooper. We walk into the interview and we start getting the questions. They ask us which gym leader we found most difficult, and, well, there's only one leader that actually killed any Pokemon, so it's gotta be Katie. Do you remember what Pokemon they used? Well, yeah, a grass type killed my boy. Why are you smiling? Wonderful. Ah, fuck this shit. Long story short, we did pass the interview, only inflicting a tiny amount of fatal damage to Brit.
It finally made a ghost.
Rika sends out Electric and we lead Nugget. Earthquake does get the OHKO thanks to random abilities, removing Levitate. Dunsparce goes down to a single Axe Kick, and then out comes Gengar, who uses Happy Hour. For real? Yeah. Appleton comes out and Barrage does big damage as Bug Buzz does nothing. One more Barrage does get the knockout. Rika's final Pokemon is a Bramblin of the fighting variety. It uses Iron Defense as we switch into Pascal, who engulfs the weed, getting the win. Poppy leads Frostlass and we lead Bjork. Sunny Day is set up as we get the OHKO with Behemoth Slash. The Elite Four has a lot of ghost types it seems. Skeledirge unfortunately avoids Precipice Blades and then hits a Night Daze for great damage, so we need to switch into Django. The fighting type does help us take another Night Daze rather well, and then we hit back with an Astral Barrage that takes the Crocodile down to the yellow. We take one more hit but then do finish off the Crocodile with another Astral Barrage. Continuing with the ghost theme, Poppy sends out a Gengar of her own. Our HP isn't that high, so we switch into Sunny, who's hit by a massive Hex. We don't really have a Pokemon that wants to switch into this. I do send out Krampus, since he has the best odds at outspeeding the opposing ghost. In a stroke of luck and stupidity, their Gengar goes for Happy Hour, and you know what? That does make me happy. Krampus then does manage to outspeed and Oko the happy little ghost with a Shadow Ball. Honchkrow comes out and we Thunder Cage for huge damage as it tries to counter, but then the residual damage does pick up the knockout. Finally, Poppy sends out Screamtail. We switch into Pascal in case there's any physical moves, and then it turns into an electric type and prepares a Shadow Force. Not that great. We Terastallize to ensure we take it well, and on top of Fur Coat, we have no issues with it. Apple Acid doesn't do much, but it does reduce the special defense. We simply rinse and repeat, healing up on the vanishing turns and then hitting back on the striking turns. Using this method all but guarantees the KO and the win. Larry sends out Gulpin. Yes, thank you, and then we leave Bjork. We get the easy Oko as Toxtricity comes out. Hatenna next, and it's an easy Oko. Serena is a bit more interesting as a Behemoth Slash takes it down to half and then it hits for next to no damage with a Pounce. Despite the speed drop, we still outspeed and hit a Dragon Claw which takes it down to the red. Avalanche takes us down to the yellow, but we do get one more hit for the knockout. Lastly is a Jotonian staple. We switch into Nugget as Ampharos turns into a water type and fails a Metal Burst. Axe Kick is about a 3-hit KO as we're hit with a water type Terra Blast which does a small amount of damage. Earthquake chips away its HP as it keeps using Terra Blast for minimal damage, eventually falling and giving us the win. Hassel leads Camerupt and we lead Bjork again. We hit Fake Out for a bit of damage and then we switch into Nugget who has his heart swapped. A 4 times effective Aqua Jet then gets the KO. Hassel lives up to his Dragon Mastery and sends out Garchomp as we switch into Pascal. Garchomp vanishes so we Terastallize into a Steel type, take the hit, and then we do what Pascal does best. Colossal comes out nullifying our Fur Coat so we switch to Bjork. Armor Cannon does large damage as we hit Fake Out. We rolled the dice on an 85% accurate Precipice Blades and we managed to hit and get the easy knockout. We don't really have the HP to comfortably take it on, so we switch to Nugget who unfortunately takes a Giga Drain. Since I don't know what it means to play around the crit, I stay in, take another Giga Drain and then smack the edgy Jackal for good damage and get the confusion. Now it's time to switch into Krampus. A Giga Drain does nothing as our toxic blob of a ghost then uses Shadow Ball to get the KO. Hassel sends out his final Pokemon, Alolan Raichu. It changes into a ghost, which is great because I click Shadow Ball purely because of it being stab damage. However, in a twisted series of events, Raichu lives on the red and then retaliates with a super effective Headlong Rush, getting the kill on Krampus. Rest in peace, buddy, you did good. It then takes one more priority move for us to get the win. It isn't all bad news though, since now we have space in our party and the level cap now allows for it, we can finally evolve Lopez. We of course lead Lopez against Gita, but I remember what Screamtail does, so we switch out to Nugget. Just as I expected, it does vanish, so we turn into a normal type to avoid the attack. We then hit back rather hard with Bar Barrage, and we take a critical psychic pretty well considering. Straight after that, the Screamtail does go down, Impidimp comes out and is dispatched very easily, Carbink is next who's hit for huge damage, and then it fails to hit us with an Attract since it has no gender. Easy. Talonflame would be scary if we didn't have the type advantage, a couple of Aqua Jets ground the bird, and then Luxio comes out who goes down to a single Earthquake. Seriously, Nugget is insane. Gita then steps on the gas slightly and sends out Heatran. Earthquake would be quite effective, but it changes its type to Fairy and uses Worry Seed. We send out Bjork with our eyes set on a powerful Steel type attack and we manage to avoid an Oko by sheer cold. That is pretty rude. I do kinda misclick and then its defense is boosted by the bees. It doesn't matter though because clicking the right move this time it does get the KO and the win. He sends out Copy Pasta and we lead with Django. Thunder Punch ruins the Fish Dog as Florges comes out. We switch into our resident Fairy Slayer as Florges hits a super effective Fiery Wrath. Not risking that, so we switch back into Django who takes another one rather well. Astral Barrage does a small amount and we're confused by Supersonic. This isn't the best situation, so we switch into Nugget who's hit hard by a crit. We Terastallize in desperation in order to survive another Fiery Wrath, and then we hit hard with Bar Barrage and manage to get the knockout. Iron Hands comes out, so we don't really want to stay in. We switch to Sunny, who takes a Skitter Smack very well, and then hits for decent damage with Lumina Crash. Iron Hands can't do much to us it seems, so we just finish it off with another Lumina Crash. The most underrated starter comes out, who we hit with a Fire type Weather Ball, but then Sunny is taken out by a super effective Last Respects. We send out Bjork as the Chestnut just lives a fake out. Pascal comes out and takes the attack very well thanks to Fur Coat, and then we refuse to break tradition. Grafaiai comes out, so we switch to Lopez. Metal Burst does fail because it's a counter attack, but it has intimidated me slightly. We Heat Wave and then take a lot of damage in return, and expecting another Metal Burst, we switch into Pascal safely, who roosts and then gets poisoned. We hit a deliberately weak Apple Acid since it will reduce the Metal Burst retaliation, and we get the special defense drop. After that, we roost again expecting another Metal Burst, but it uses Power Swap. With the special defense drop, we're then confident enough to Flamethrower and get the KO. Arven's final Pokemon is a Camerupt. It turns into an electric type as we hit it with Apple Acid, but Mirror Armor drops our special defense. But then in a very bizarre coincidence, Camerupt uses Heart Swap, so then the special defense drop is then moved back onto them. What just happened? Flamethrower then gets the KO, and that's why I love randomizers. You just never know what's gonna happen. He sends out Flaffy and we lead Nugget. Earthquake gets the easy Oko, and out comes Sinistea. Although not super effective, Earthquake again gets an easy Oko. Bergmite is up next. Clavel must really like Everstones. Nice and easy. Dondozo is rather big, so we send out Django, who takes a hit very well and then hits hard with a Thunder Punch. Hex takes us down to about half as we finish off the fish. And talking of fish, actually it's based on an orca, which is a mammal. Wow, I don't care. Thunder Punch does huge damage and it charms us, so let's get Flirty Kyogre in the comments. Despite the attack drop, we do finish off the Smutty Sea Dog. Clavel's final Pokemon is a meme I refuse to reference. We send out Pascal as the mushroom turns into a Psychic type and uses Defog. Since I know it's rather tanky, I do drop its special defense with an Apple Acid, as the Stump continues to do sweet sod all. A Flamethrower then takes it down to low, and Eruption comes out way too late, with the mushroom going down right afterwards. Penny's fight was really uneventful. I'm just going to kind of gloss over it. She sent a Pokemon out and we swung over it, and that's kind of it. For Nemona, I led Onion and she led a little dinosaur. We switched to Lopez, who's hit with an Imprison, but then we hit hard with a Flare Cannon. Nemona sends out Deerling, so we switch into Pascal. The Deerling just tidies up, so we engulf it in flames. Nice. Moving on. Sandy Shocks comes out, who I really like by the way. Look at this goofy dude. Apple Acid does great damage as we're hit with a metal sound. You know damn well we're gonna click that button. Nemona sends out Baby Nugget as we spit apple juice at it. Dragon Dance then does minimal damage, leading us to KO it next turn. Lastly, out comes Azelf, who turns into an electric type and uses a resisted fire attack. We hit a fire attack of our own, taking it down to about half. We switch to Bjork, who doesn't mind taking a hit too much. Fake Out knocks Azelf down to the yellow, and then we finish it off. Sada leads Walking Wake and we lead Bjork. A Fake Out chips away a small amount of damage as we take a Sludge Wave well, but we do get poisoned. Dragonclaw then takes the dino down to the red. We stay in and go for another one as Wake just raises its defense. Next up is Orthworm. It's too risky to stay in, so we switch to Pascal, who eats a Fire Blast, delivering a Flamethrower right afterwards. Shelder doesn't fare well against an Apple Acid, and then Tinkertink comes out, who's taken down by another Flamethrower. Hisuian Sliggoo goes down to half and then uses Imprison. We decide to switch into Nugget, who takes a Psyshock very well and KOs the snail with an Earthquake. Electros lacks Levitate, so we hit it hard with an Earthquake, and Nugget dodges a Fire Blast. Aquajet then picks up the KO, taking out Sada. Finally, the last Pokemon of the run, it's Garchomp. Pascal is screaming to use Ice Beam, but this fight, it belongs to Koraidon. You might be asking yourself why. Koraidon isn't a ghost type. Well, yes, I know that, but I haven't found a mod that can randomize him in the endgame. I mean, sentimental value. Koraidon has been literally carrying us the entire game, and now he's gonna carry us across the finish line. I am talking a load of shit, let's see what happens. Collision Course does a small amount as Screech lowers our defense. We chip down its HP some more as we tank a Magma Storm. The two dragons continue hitting each other with small amounts of damage, Koraidon resisting every hit that Garchomp throws until Pokehound messages the group chat. Aw yeah, great timing. What actually happens is Koraidon Terastallizes into a pure Dragon type and launches a super effective Terra Blast, KOing the Garchomp and winning the run. So there you go, that's the run. Yes, my mic has changed colour, but that's kind of all I've got for you, so bye.